Okay, welcome to this next session. But before we get going on the Myotek session, I'd like to play the video just to set the ground for the event. So, Martin, can you hit the video? Wow, what a dramatic start. And I wanted to really show that video to kind of show how dynamic and how passionate the guys are at Myotek, and show Eric's skill with putting together a kind of movie reel, and more importantly, Rob's involvement in directing it. So the session we're with Myotek is when the lights go out, the excitement begins. I'm kind of a little bit nervous about that because I don't know what they've got planned for me, but I want to welcome Rob and Eric to join me on the main stage.
Hi, Guy. Hi there. How you
Hey,
doing?
guys. Thank you, Eric. That was an extremely dramatic movie. It gives me goosebumps watching it. And Rob did a fabulous job directing it. But I guess your name was more than his, so we'll give you the credit for that one. I just wanted to start, if I could, just to get a kind of sense of where you guys are. This is a European event, but it's a global market we work in. So can you tell us where you're actually situated at the moment?
Well, I can lead that off. We're actually situated in Farmington Hills, Michigan, and that's where our corporate headquarters is. We also have a innovation center and engineering center in Irvine. But basically, Myotek is now a part of 4 other companies. We have C-Link International, which is a very large magnesium heat sink company. We have Hicks Plastics that we've underneath our wing, that we do all our own molding and metallization for fog lamps. And we also have Myotek, which is our company that does all our integration and builds for the electronics. It's located in Michigan. And we also have, obviously, facilities in China as well. But what we are is we're expanding our global footprint with innovation, design, and trying to redefine where fog lamps are going, along with expanding the market segment in lighting.
Excellent. And Eric, what is your responsibility and your expertise?
Innovation with lighting, coming up with new technology and design, and Robert and I are hand in hand working on those type of things together, coming up with future lighting and integrating technologies together for what our company does.
It's interesting that we've got a session dedicated to what you guys are experts at, because this has been discussed by virtually every session. This subject is becoming one of the most important things, and we were looking at the C40 recharge and their exterior guy, T-John, who actually was based in the States, in California before, the California studio, was talking about the boomerang effect and how it helped to make the car look more muscular and give it a stronger stance. And he was talking about the lights. He wasn't talking about the shapes. He was talking exclusively about the lights. Is that something you're seeing? They're using you as a way of the expression of the vehicle, or giving it a different feel?
Yeah, we're really involved in the understanding the aesthetic design of the vehicle. And lighting obviously can have physical shapes when you design the light to make it match a unique body, shape or size. But what really goes on is the magic inside the light with different type of materials, different type of lighting effects, using lightness and darkness maybe in a design to accentuate patterns, textures, and things like that. And we're seeing that as a DNA of brands. And we're seeing it globally with every OEM is doing it. They're adding their own particular taste to it, which is pretty dramatic and good. So yes.
Okay, so what I want to do is, because I have had the privilege, Rob, for seeing your presentation and going through a little bit of the detail with you, but I think on behalf of the audience, I'd love you to share it with them. So can I ask you to share your presentation, and then what we'll do is I've got a whole heap of questions for you, and I'm pretty sure the audience will as well. And then we'll bring you back in once you finish your presentation for some live Q&A with you.
Okay, great. So I will go get my presentation queued and share it.
Okay, while Rob's doing that, can you talk about some of the displays you've got up there, Eric, in front of you?
Sure, we got quite a few different, we have fog lamps that are up here on the table that showcase different use of pedestrian communication, which the presentation will go over. And then down here in the center, we have an electric vehicle grill. I think the presentation is ready now, though.
Okay, thanks. All over to you.
Okay, great. So, we're all about design, and I've been at the helm here now for almost 2 years. And one of the things we discovered when I came across here to look at this whole thing, that fog lamps obviously are great, but they are having a tendency to be either, designed out or maybe not so much used, and there's blank filler spaces. And even though Myotek's a great leader of optical design with reflectors and optics and have done some amazing things, fog lamps actually could have a really important use going forward, both short-term and long-term. So we started thinking as a team, what can we do to do things differently? And one of the things that I always believe in is what Albert Einstein said is, logic can get you from point A to B, because we're all pretty much logical in the automobile industry. But we really do need to have a dose of imagination, because that basically can take you anywhere. Sort of like what this photo of Lake Michigan kind of shows. It's an effort for us to kind of set the stage with innovation.
Hey, Rob, can I just stop you for a second? Your presentation is frozen on screen 1. That's what we're looking at, and we can see the sidebar. So you need to maybe hit the play button.
I have been hitting the play. So we have...
Because it's just frozen our end.
So let me try this real quick.
That's better. We're on screen 3 now.
All right, how about that? You see it?
Yeah, we can see it, but we can still see the sidebar. You need to hit the play as in...
Boy, sorry, I have no idea.
One of live events, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah. So when I hit the play, which I'm doing, it's showing up on the other screen, so I have no idea why. So let me do one more thing here. Just give me a second.
Yeah, sure. Not a problem. So, Eric, you were talking about fog lamps. You're one of the leaders, I believe, in fog lamps. Is that correct?
That's correct. And we do other lighting as well. We're moving into other spaces, but also improving upon fog lamps and adding new technologies to them.
So what are the changes you feel in that field? Are they going to be integrated, do you think? Do you think we're going to have them decluttering the vehicles?
Yes, on some designs, for sure. Other designs might be more traditional, but the use of other sensors and technologies integrated into the fog lamp is something that Robert and I feel is happening or will happen. Could be cameras, could be daylight running lamps, which you can see down below. Here is an example of using a daylight running lamp with a fog lamp integrated as production. Could have cameras, thermal imaging, radar, LiDAR. There's a lot of space that's available to a fog lamp. It doesn't have as much scrutiny as some other, like a headlamp. And so we feel there's a lot of available technology that could go into the fog lamp space.
Okay, I've got another question because while Rob's, we'll do it back to front then. We'll do the Q&A now. Some of the questions I've got. We've got the present. We've got loads of times, guys.
Yep, no,
So,
we're getting it up.
yeah,
Don't
so
know.
electric vehicles. Right, Skoda. They showed an electric vehicle yesterday where the grille had lighting in it. Because basically you can get rid of the grille in an electric vehicle. What opportunities can you see within that sector, within the grille and the lighting and the integration?
Well, I can answer that, and I think we have our one slide up by now too, so that looks good. We see the EV grille market as an enabler for pedestrian communication, where the vehicle can actually communicate to a pedestrian if needed during a crosswalk experience. Tell the pedestrian that it's turning left, right. It could be used for Uber, it could be used for ride sharing, it could be used for a lot of different things. Along with that, you could actually have communication in it for ambient lighting to show the battery charge, show different iconic type, things that you may want to do for the branding and the styling. But one of the other areas is that we think, and what we've done is we did our first EV grill, which we're showing today, but we actually have another version of it coming in about 5 weeks that will have integrated fog lamps inside this EV grill. And what we see is an opportunity to change the way design is looking at light and use those for a productive type of projection that can actually be integrated into one piece.
Yeah, I mean, that just sounds fascinating because you are then decluttering an already busy environment.
Right.
From a cost standpoint, is that a lot more cost effective? Has it got different benefits?
Yeah, we think it is. The pedestrian communication, we have developed an LED matrix that is fully auto qualified, and it can withstand the rigors of automobile use. And this is unique because there is a lot of LEDs on it. It's actually like a video wall, and we can actually project on different type of animation, which we've done in this EV grill, to communicate, and it's pretty much sunlight readable. So it can be used in the darkness as well as in the light.
Wow. Okay, shall we give the presentation another go, Rob? But again, I've got loads of questions, guys, so I can keep you busy all day.
So I have the one screen up. Is it up?
That's working. Click to the next screen. Let's just double check. Yep, we got it. Take me down, Martin. Let these guys run.
So it's good. So basically, where Myotek is, fog lamps, we're involved in chimsels and design. And what we've tried to do is look at some of the emerging markets with pedestrian communication. And then we also developed something really unique in our optics. We actually have a technology called afterglow, which we can actually put into the optics. And we built some prototypes and they work really well. Using our optical expertise, we're allowed to put this material in, and then when the lights do go off after it's being used as a fog lamp, we can actually have a glowing dark feature in this lamp, in this optic, to be used for continuation of branding, styling, different things like that. And we obviously are looking at this as a unique way to carry on, the branding of a vehicle when the lights go out, and it will softly glow for up to 7-8 hours. And then it just dims away. So those are some of the things we're looking at, as well as involving DLP projection in the fog lamps and doing other things. We see the value of fog lamps as being able to house much more information, much more technology, where headlight space is very limited. And you'll see as we build this presentation out, some of the other areas that we're involved in. We're actually, too, looking seriously at branding and badging. We've come up with some really unique badging opportunities and actually controlling the light very, very, I'd say, precisely, that actually can show, and we'll have a little bit more of slides on this. And we've actually looked at some very tiny DLP projectors so that we can actually do a branding experience with full animation. This is just kind of the overview slide. And then obviously in 2020, we started work on an EV grill with our partner Covestro. And we had some ideas, some renderings. We sought the technology, we built it, and we were able to do some really unique things, which we'll show in a few minutes here with that. The other areas that we're looking seriously on is the lighting communication in glass or polycarbonate. Both Eric and I have extensive background in this. We've done this at some previous work that we've done in a previous employer, and we understand the eye of Newton wing of bat on this, on how we can make this work. And the interesting thing is the matrix panel that we've done for our fog lamp as well as our EV grill that's auto qualified is super thin enough to be laminated into glass and survive and work. We don't put all the electronics in. The electronics are housed outside the glass via a ribbon cable, but we've got some products that we've been testing, and so far the feasibility is great. And along with that, Myotek has grown that we're looking at some select interior lighting. We are working with a few companies and a few OEMs on selectively looking at where we can use our expertise in lighting to create some new dynamic products to illuminate leather, to illuminate large areas and surfaces in the interior of the car. And we built some cool prototypes doing that. So this slide is just a basic overview for that. Where we see EV grills, and then we'll talk a little bit about this, and we'll show you the real one after. We really thought hard about this, and Covestro actually worked on and designed, and we had a little help in it. They actually built a mold, and they're making EV grill samples. So we decided to take that EV grill sample, roll up our sleeves, and we started thinking, what would the future be, as well as where's the global trends? And by going to auto shows all around the world and talking to many designers, we see opportunities in various stages. And as Eric once told me, he goes, the amount of, and I'll let Eric answer this, how many EV cars are there going to be in the next 5-6 years?
Oh, well over 100 in the next 5-6 years.
So we see an opportunity, you know, if you're going to have a grill and it's not going to be a functional grill, let's make it functional with light. So the first thing we thought, let's integrate a panel that can communicate. And as you can see the rendering up there, it's communicating to the pedestrians. But let's also look at putting fog lamps in there or any other type of illumination to think differently for a change and to push some of the boundaries on this. So as we go through, I don't know what happened there. That's good. We're getting into this. Hang on. We got all kind of technical issues today, and I have to apologize. So there we go. This is the actual EV grill that we actually finished yesterday. And what's really interesting about this, it's very thin. It's a polycarbonate base. It's tinted with a neutral density. And what we did was we attempted to create a circuit with some light points, as well as the center of the grill actually is a series of a lot of LEDs, and we can scale this to make it as large as we want or as small as we want. And we actually have full animation going on in this, where we can have a pedestrian walk, the battery, arrows, different things. But we froze the screen for this presentation so you at least can see this. But we have other ideas of, you know, obviously integrating the fog lamps, which will be located at the very bottom of the unit in the grill itself. So these are some of the things that we're starting to think about. And again, we have a lot of other options that we can do with this. We actually took some of these panels, these smaller panels, and we built some fog lamps that actually had working pedestrian communication inside them, where it would communicate if it was on a fog lamp inside a vehicle. And again, thinking about this, imagine cameras, LiDAR, radar, we can put these into this unit, especially into the fog lamps. The second one that we're showing here in the box is our DLP projection. And that is actually working with Texas Instruments, but instead of putting it in the actual headlight, it could go into a grill. It also can go into a fog lamp, and we're in the process right now of building a prototype with this. And it actually is kind of marvelous because in a way, it frees up a lot of space. And if this is a requirement going forward for communication, we understand how to do it and incorporate it into our designs. And as I mentioned earlier, afterglow optics is something that we've got involved in. It's an actual silicone optic, an optical silicone. And literally, we're using some of the same designs that are proven in our fog lamps that are in production, and we're now capable of illuminating these things by day or night, but when the lights go off, as we said in our presentation, the excitement begins. And again, as I mentioned, sensor options, radar, camera, all this is fair game to be thinking about fog lamps. So we're looking for challenges, we're looking for ideas, but we're also looking to enable the OEMs to think differently about eliminating fogs, but embracing that technology to put it into vehicles. And here's a good example of the afterglow optics. And again, we can do anybody's branding. We can do pretty much any different design. And what's neat about it is that it glows, and when you walk away from the vehicle, it's a different type of statement. And we've been playing around with making it glow green, white, red, and we have that understanding and the capability of doing that. But we're showing the world that there's another way of looking at optics for lenses now, and hopefully it'll get some attention. The other thing that we have here is our illuminated badging and projection technology. We started this about a year ago, and we really looked at, with our expertise and know-how in silicone, we decided to make a silicone badge through a couple of partners that we have. And we wanted to make it a stealth type badge, but we thought differently about the design. So Eric and I, along with a few other people on our team here at Myotek, noodled this together. We came up with this design, and literally you can see we've got a white circuit of LEDs in there, a red circuit, and then we added the afterglow. So you have an opportunity here to have a variety of states of light for a variety of different use. And then we also have looked at the impact resistance of polycarbonate options, looking at PC and ABS PC with actually doing selective chroming. One of the things we looked at seriously is transparent chrome is something that is interesting, but as a team here, we are not going to pursue that at this point because it always looks a little bit white, hazy, muddy, whatever. It's a lot of work, and its consistency is its issue. So what we've come up with is using our fine line approach where we can actually selectively illuminate different things, have a chrome look, but also have a very unique look in the badging to create this kind of snappy type look. But I want to show you this is because we also worked really hard at animation. We believe that light animation tied to user-friendly options is something really, really important. So what we've done is we're able now to selectively animate and build an example of a RAM logo. And we've run through this, and we've actually gotten better with it. So it offers the opportunity for an OEM to selectively do some branding, maybe tie it to a feature. And if you notice on the very little bit of a snout of the red RAM as it builds, there's a little white dot. That's a particular interest, and I'll show you on the next slide, because we've built in a integrated projector. So the actual badge itself, you get 2-for-1 sale here. You actually buy one product but get two things in it. And we've actually put a RAM projector inside it. And these are actual pictures. So you might be asking, wow, that's interesting, but how is it being used? And we did a little simple slide here. The vehicle at the lower left is actually tooling down the road. It would be red when it's on, and it could actually even use it as a bright brake light function if it's available in certain areas of the world. Maybe it isn't, we're not sure, but that's one thing that could be done. But in the parked mode, when the car is being parked, it actually, when you energize your key fob, it'll glow white. But as you enter and get closer, it senses you, and it will project a RAM logo on the ground. And when you step into that RAM logo, it breaks the beam. It actually can do a function like open up the tailgate, maybe turn on the lights inside the car. It could be a lot of different things. So what we're really concentrated here is looking at light to control lots of different options to help drive creature features in the future vehicles. And again, some other examples of placing these things in different areas. We've done a lot of work on the RAM because we decided it's one of our big customers, But we also have the capability and have been looking at other logos as well. And our studio here is filled with them. And we are obviously aggressively pushing that because we see a great opportunity for a lot of different branding of vehicles to be creative here. And as I mentioned earlier, we have a little tiny projector that we've been working with, and it's small. It's about an inch, maybe 2 inches long by a ½ inch wide by a ½ inch tall. And literally it is the experience of looking at where can we put these in exterior mirrors, inside, how can we do animation? How can you welcome your wife when you're out on a date on your 25th anniversary, when you're opening the door, which we're all hoping you are, and being gentlemen, and you have this projector on the ground saying, I love you, or whatever. It's all a part of this branding thing. And obviously putting different type of branding for the vehicle is something interesting as well. So we are looking at that with cell phone control, Bluetooth control. We want to be stimulated, and there has been some interest with OEMs on this, and we've been approached. So this is where this is all heading for our company. And again, some of the other materials, interior lighting, we're exploring new designs with waveguides, integrated panels that hold light, new materials that we can actually put in front of these waveguides to do illumination differently, large surfaces, crystal type panels that will go inside vehicles similar to what the BMW series has. We're now into capacitance touch and capabilities to do unique things with this, along with doing some really unique branding on seats that haven't been done before that are high resolution, as you're seeing on the picture on the left. There's a lot of information, but I think what you're seeing in the presentation here is the ability for Myotek to think differently, to act differently, and to challenge and look for other challenges externally so that we can do more and more with this type of technology that we're trying to develop. And again, we did do a fog lamp with a transparent display that's in our studio here. It works great. We're looking at our matrix, as I mentioned earlier. That's an actual window that actually has this matrix laminated into it. And literally, it opens up some interesting avenues. And we heard these in some of the previous presentations with autonomous vehicles where you're looking out the glass, but you might be getting some information. We know how to do that, and we're working aggressively on that. So realistically, the whole thing here, it's all about design. It's all about pushing the boundaries a little bit, thinking a little bit differently. But in the old essence of everything here, we're interested in production. The things that we're doing are things that can be adapted for production if a company wants to be serious about it and get behind it, because there are always ways of coming up with new areas and designs and methodology to make it work. So that's the presentation side now.
Right, so I'm back in the room. That was fun, wasn't it? Dealing with technology. I think, Rob, you'll find that the guys in the UK were actually controlling your presentation.
Okay.
We've mapped it perfectly. The guys were syncing it perfectly, I think. So we found a way. We've got quite a few questions.
Issues here.
Don't worry, we've got quite a few questions we've got already. But before we get into those, I want to start by talking about some of the projection you were showing. It was quite interesting. It was brought up by Thomas Bouvret from DS about projection. How he felt that was a really important way, instead of using screens per se, but using projection as a way of getting the brand identity. Can you talk a bit more about that, on what you've done and examples, or more importantly, where you think it could go?
Yeah, I think projection, if it's in a mirror type situation, an exterior mirror, is something you could project the branding down to the vehicle. So if it's a, whether it's a Mustang or whether it's a Skoda or whether it's a logo or whatever the case might be, it's an opportunity to think about, putting some branding down on the ground and to do some interesting things with it. But when you start thinking about that, it opens up the animation, it opens up stagnant imaging, but it also opens up opportunities to use that image to control something. For example, if you step into the image like we showed, it opens up a tailgate, or it turns on the lights of the car a little bit differently, starts your engine, whatever it's programmed to do. Those are the things that we're trying to tie together. And again, we don't know everything and what everybody's designers are thinking, but what we do know is the capability of advancing this technology in the inside of the car and maybe in some outside applications to think a little differently. And Eric, I don't know if you have any comments on that you'd like to share, but.
Oh, I think, you can place, projections, like Robert said, on the exterior. Doesn't have to be in the ground, could be other locations on the vehicle, could be in the interior on certain key locations for either information and branding. So,
yeah, pretty much.
So what we're talking about is the person inside the car. But what about the people outside the car? I mean, it's very interesting in the video. You showed a lot of projecting outside the car or on the walkway in your office, I guess. How can this be used within the vehicle, but to really about the pedestrians, especially when we got these EVs with no sound? I mean, is there an opportunity there? Have you seen car makers go down that road, or are you going to push them that way?
Well, we're going to do a little bit of both. We've seen some go down this road as well as ideas and pushing them. The projector that we've actually put into the fog lamp that is not on display here works very effectively, especially if you were going to communicate to the pedestrians in a projector type way at nighttime that the car is turning left, the car is turning right, or maybe there's a ice condition, it's 32 degrees and it's freezing. It might signal that says it projects a snowflake as it's shown in the presentation. You better think about slowing down or at least be aware of that. That's the area that we're looking at to do. But we're also looking at putting that into an EV grille. We actually, with our product right now, which we showed in our presentation, we have a static display or a display that's built into the grille that can animate. That is not projecting. You literally have to look at the car to see it. But at the same time, those elements of projecting could be emblazed in that for the future to let people around you know in the space on the ground that this is something that's approaching and you're communicating that way. It's an interesting thing, and I think it just needs to be thought about a little bit more by these designers that are interested in, moving this bar forward a little bit, because there's a lot of areas that we can do and areas that this technology can perform very well in.
And I guess then it kind of deals with the issue of safety of the pedestrian. So really, it's a public, it's helping the public to stay safe, and probably with the challenge of EVs being so silent, it's obviously a dangerous point, especially if you've got cyclists and so forth sharing the same sort of environment. I guess it could be a massive bonus. I picked up on this word, and I kind of like it because I'm a bit of a party person myself, but the afterglow optics. Afterglow makes me think of back in the day when I used to go to after parties. I don't anymore. But what is your direction in afterglow and the technology in optics and badging?
Well, I can answer that. The optics side of things is we took a production fog lamp and we are tested it, and we know now we can make a afterglow optic that would function really, really well. And that was some of the imaging that we showed in this presentation. And the idea here is to make some of these physical samples that are regulatory, that work, and to take them and show some of the OEMs that we want to, work with and have worked with to see if that's something that their marketing and branding departments would be interested in. And again, we have ideas of how to put a ring around it, but there are there's many other things that can be done with this. And what's really offers a cool part, if you're having parts that are illuminated and you carefully use this afterglow technology, glow in the dark, you have an ability to do things after the lights go out, to actually communicate or to highlight a part. And it opens up an interesting artistical view, but it also opens up a very strong branding view. that, your car is glowing when you walk away from it. And there's a lot of people who buy cars and they do that double look after they get out of it and they go, love my car, love it. And if it's doing something like that, not only is it cool, it could be even a safety little thing on the street. So
I do agree. I love washing my car, and my car's beautiful, but I only actually enjoy it as I'm walking up to it, because I spend all my time inside. So if it could do something else, that'd be really cool. I've got an interesting question about branding, because you showed that RAM and you showed the different elements that you could do with it. And you've got the Daimler. You had the Daimler grill with the logo. How can lighting, or are you seeing lighting becoming more important for brand recognition? That's not my question. That's actually from the audience.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Brand recognition tying to lighting is absolutely everything that we can ever imagine, because what we're seeing now is the ability to sculpture light to accentuate a brand, to put, cars that, literally you can identify some cars going down the street at night from their rear taillights exactly who that car is, what it is. You know it because of the uniqueness of that. And again, I think at the new materials, the new polycarbonates, the new films, optics, and different things like this, we're going to see a huge transformation. And we've already seen this transformation with some of the designs that are currently out there. But we're working in holographic films, controlling light to create some really neat effects. But effects are great. But what we try to do is every effect that we try to create, we try to have a reason to do it. So it's just not another pretty face. It's a technology that can interface with doing something that the car needs to do, or a creature feature.
Okay, I'm going to go a bit left field here. You know that we have a magazine called Interior Motive, so we love interiors. And it was in the discussion session before the panel discussion about materials and lights. The integration of both. The personalization, does it need to just stop on hard surfaces? Could it be integrated within something that has emotion? Is that anything that you're looking at, or you have any opinion on?
Oh yeah, we certainly are looking at it, and actually have expertise. Robert and I have been working on several things that would be lighting through materials, fabric, lightable leather, things that would add either an ambient lighting effect, branding effect, possibly even communication, such as the matrix could even be behind it. So we have been looking at that. The waveguide technology that we have is something that would light through different fabrics and materials. Anything else, Robert?
Yeah, I think the waveguide thing it's a large sheet. We figured out a way of adding texture, adding design, adding elements to this large sheet. But the large sheet is a material that can be covered, but we can actually illuminate that material directly inside or along the edge of it. And we've got some unique properties here in our office that we're eventually going to put in our roadshow to take out this, spawn these ideas. But we see this light integration becoming tighter with the materials itself, and the material is actually doing some of the illumination as the LEDs become smaller, more compact, and more efficient.
I've got let's say an interesting question. It could be a difficult question depending which way you look at it. So I hope you guys are ready for this. Obviously, we're in an environment where EV cars are coming out. Everything needs to be ecological, sustainable. How are you addressing that? Because obviously, when we produce a car, it has certain elements which pollute our environment. And then we have the scenario of light pollution as well. So, it's a question that's come up 3 or 4 times in the chat. And it is something I've written down as well. Is it something that you're looking at and addressing and discussing?
Yes. With the innovation team, we always kind of look at that. We do take a strong look at that. I know our company as a whole is concerned and is focused on some of those elements. Do I think about it every day in our team? No, not so much, because what we're trying to do is trying to push this innovation to a level, but after things become integrated into a vehicle and produced into a vehicle, how are they adequately disposed is I think what everybody is looking for. And a lot of that is something that, policies have to be written and policies have to be stated of where it can go with this. And again, our company is relatively new with the acquisitions that we've done, and we are looking at it as a global opportunity of controlling that and becoming more ecologically stable. So I can't give particulars at this point, but it is definitely a challenging question, but a hard question, but it's one that I know that we talk about here and we're concerned with, especially with the volume of production parts that we do right now.
Okay. Now going global again, right? So you're based in Michigan, but you had a Daimler, so that could have come out of the California studio or it could have come out of Germany. Is there any regions of the world that you're saying are a bit more innovative with lighting or lighting when it comes to personalization or the EV market? Is there somewhere where you're going, wow, look what they're asking for?
Yeah, I think so. Personally, for me, I like European designers. A lot of experience there, and I think there's a little bit more play there of acceptance, trying to do different things and new things. United States is great, but we're a little bit conservative too. We have the standards that need to be met, and I think now though there's a change happening. I think what the world's been doing, at least over the last couple of years, I think you and I have talked about this, and our company's talked about this, is that the whole world is looking at, there's so many brand competition out there and there's a lot of noise. We'll call it visual noise. How do you differentiate yourself in that? And obviously lighting is a really good factor. Years ago when I was in lighting, they used to design the cars first and they bring it to you and say, now we need to put lighting in it. And we go, oh geez, okay, great. But now when we're involved in these high level products, they're already thinking about the inside of the car, the outside of the car, but they're also thinking about the lighting in the forefront. So we're seeing this as a integral mix of, when we're designing this, let's think about light in the same way. So I think it's a strong possibility that this whole thing is on a even bigger role, especially when we get out of this COVID situation. There's a lot of pent-up energy, a lot of pent-up designs. I know we're doing virtual, but we need to be in your studio showing you these products and physically letting you touch them and explain them. Because even though we have them in this virtual, we're still getting a little bit of scan refreshness because of our internet and different things, but these are rock solid products that really work well. So.
Okay. Chris, in China, is China showing it's got a lot of new brands, trying to get brand identity? You've got no history, if you like. Are you seeing a lot of them embracing this more, or is it a slower thing in China?
I think embracing, because we've had a lot of contact, at least I have, with some of the Chinese OEMs, and obviously electric vehicles for EV grill is really prime real estate for them. There's a lot of electric cars. But I also believe China itself, for the longest time, was watching the world and trying to understand how to enter the market. And maybe there was some copying going on at the early stages, but that's not prevalent anymore. We're seeing really concrete and beautiful, independent thinking designs that we wouldn't think of here, but are relevant there, that we can actually find a great home with there. And I see China as an emerging market. Our plan is Europe and China to expand our market presence, to start showing this technology, and to see where we could go with it. Because fog lamps are a fog lamp, and we're great at producing them. But we need to bring more, and we are bringing more to this equation.
Okay. Can I ask Eric a question? It's kind of getting to the point now where people are coming out of COVID. Rob mentioned it. In theory, those people who have kept their jobs are going to have a little bit of a cashola, a bit of money to spend. They're going to want to spend it on something. You can't travel around the world anyway, so they might spend it on a car. So from where the future is on personalization, where do you think how people will personalize their lighting? Is that something that could happen, and something that we've seen it in a few of a Mini, let's say, the rear lights, but do you think that could become kind of something that people really invest in?
Yeah, I do think so. There's certain vehicles in production now that let you personalize color of your ambient lighting. I think it's going to go further with personalization of maybe a projected image, along with the color of lighting and possibly messaging or communication that would tie in with that. I think they're going to go into areas where it'll make their vehicle their own, and be different from, say, someone else. You know, we all know what it's like if there's a million vehicles sold of the same kind. People like to differentiate theirs from another. So I think we're going to see that move into even further in the lighting space. And technology and the materials, the LEDs are all being improved. They're all moving towards a harmonious center together. So we're in a great, exciting space for lighting versus, say, 10 years ago. The technology has really moved up and it's enabling a lot of things.
Yeah, I guess the biggest challenge we've seen is LEDs were in premium vehicles. Now they're in every vehicle, virtually across the scale, especially in Europe as well. Virtually every model has it as standard. Is there a technology that is in the premium vehicles which you think will filter down as cost reductions happen? Have you seen a trend towards anything that you could share with us that people maybe haven't considered for large volume vehicles?
The only thing I think right now that is trickling down is some of the interior lighting options have obviously become more cost effective, so they're doing more of it. I think that is the first thing. I have to always go back to the EV grill situation out there. You know, EV grills can be pricey, obviously, and headlights are pricey when you have complex headlights. And I think what it is, it's a mind shift for design and for people. If you start to have part of the function of a grill doing some of the lighting and doing some of the sensing and doing some of the communication, you know, that price will come down in cost, obviously with higher volumes, but also interesting ways and new ways of achieving these type of things. And over my 28 years in this business, I mean, I remember when we first do the illuminated cup holders, they were expensive, and people go, "Ooh, is that cool? Is it really going to catch on?" Well, it has. And again, those are low-cost features now as technology matures and grows. And I think the things that we're doing here with fog lamps, we've reduced cost on fog lamps. We've become more efficient at the production, at the design, and we thought differently. And that's why Myotek's innovation labs exist, is to take these very aspects of different technologies that's core to Myotek, to look at them, but not be afraid to position them out there, but also to get them into high volume production so that some of these OEMs can have a unique position, at least for a little while, to create these things. It's sort of like taking steps every day, every week, every month. And I think we're going to see an onslaught of lighting, even with autonomous vehicles, probably even more than we're commonly used to today. It is here to stay.
We've got, just so you guys know, and you probably know this, but Jens Cutter is actually answering questions in the chat on your behalf. He's keeping you busy. I thought it was Eric typing, and also known as, that's why he reached for his phone. I thought he was answering them. I've got the question. I guess this is the question I really want to know is, currently you must come into a project at a point, whether it's the original sketchings or procurement department or design engineering talking to you or designers talking to you. Is there a point within the process you wish you were involved in the development of the vehicle? Is there a point where you think, God, if only we were there at that point, we could have basically saved so much time, so much money, and produce something beautiful. When will that point be? And if you could, we've got loads of designers on there. This is your chance to tell them when you should come in and what you could save them.
Abel, that is a great question, because I'll back up. 8 years ago, I'll just start there. We used to always get pulled into these as afterthoughts. The design was done and we have to do magic and lighting. And a couple things happen there. Number one, you look at the things and you go, oof, okay, we have this combined space. Number two is it actually immediately eliminates some technologies and some ideas that you may want to use or proven aspects. So you actually have to design things. But where we're at now is that we're getting more involved at the studio level, and we have been dragged in literally over the last 5 to 6 years especially, been dragged in when the sketches are still there and saying, what do you think? Because you guys know the lighting. And then we start thinking and we say, okay, and we have a swatch of technologies that we can bring in, and we can start these dialogues, and then they get it, we get it, and there's this chocolate peanut butter moment that makes Reese peanut butter cups together with our designers, where we suddenly say, your technology is enabling my design, your design's enabling the technology, and we're going to create this thing. The earlier the better.
Yes.
To have things involved, because there's tons of roadblocks on this. The best case in point is this grill. When we worked with Covestro, we had a little bit of say in their design, but they did it, and we said, give it to us. It's at the forefront of being just a raw piece of plastic. And what we were able to do with their help and with other helps, integrate this technology into this in such a way that we call it a level 1 prototype. And that means it is viewable and it is good as any auto show or prototype can be, and it functions the way it should be. And that's the way we like doing things, is making it upfront at the very earliest stages and incorporating as many options as possible. Later is the issue, and we're always recounting things and chasing, problems and things because the design has already been fixed.
And I think I was actually I think that what you're showing, they had an example of it at a show a couple of years ago. And I had the honor of actually going there and speaking at that event and talk about the vehicle as a whole. And I must say, look, we've just done it. We've just spoken to the people. We've told them what they should be doing. So guys, we've had that platform to do it today. I think that's a natural place to end. I think you'll both agree. Just need to be earlier in the process, need to be bought in. I can see Eric's got so many ideas. I can just see it coming out of you, Eric. You've got all the solutions. And I think that was really an eye-opener. I know, Rob and Eric, you're going to be involved in our Asian event coming up, which is going to be super interesting to see how we're going to take this to the next level, that dialogue, as you said, Rob, which is what we're saying, dialogues. This is what it's about.
Yes.
It's about the conversation. So I just want to say thank you both for giving your time. I really appreciate we've dealt with some technical issues today, but we got a lot done. We got a lot covered, and I think you and the audience, I can see the questions, and I'm sorry, audience, I did not ask a lot of your questions, but Jen was doing my job for me, so I didn't need to do it here. So I got to ask my own questions. But thank you both for coming today. Stay safe in Michigan. And if you do want to actually connect with these guys, click the expo button. You can see the video from them, and you can do a virtual invite, which I'm pretty sure Jen will be on it like a flash. So he can connect with you. And I've got a couple of leads for you guys, because we had a couple of guys who were talking about stuff which you've got the answers for. So I'll be popping an email your way.
All right.
Thanks again, guys. And
pleasure, and thank you very much. And
Yes.
We've learned from this as well. It's always a learning experience virtually.
Exactly. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Now we're going to actually move on to a very, very short break. And we're going to have the Toyota ED Square presentation. Woo! A launch of a vehicle. It was only launched 2 days ago, but we've got the first design review. And again, I get the honor to introduce a surprise moderator for that session. But like I said, guys, if you want to meet any of our sponsors, go to the Expo session. They've all got people ready to answer your questions and have virtual meetings with you. So we'll see you in about 5 minutes.